This program presented by The Art of Business Squared. Post-production editing performed by Lookport, lookport.com.
Now, I can't believe they actually gave me the time to be up here. I know sometimes I get a little flamboyant and I kind of go out. Yes, I'm happy with myself. I like being me. But I promise you today, I'm not going to do anything crazy. Okay, so I'm just gonna be really calm today. So, some of the things I want to talk about today. What?
The Jerome mug.
I must have just grabbed the accent. Let me tell you, why do I even do some of those things? It's kind of fun, isn't it? What I like to try to do, and I'm just going to be honest with you right here, is I take something fun. I'm a goofball by trait. If I can take those goofball things and just kind of do goofball things with it, what does that do? It's kind of part of what I am. Now, I've sat down with several one-on-ones. When you sit down with somebody, what is it you learn about them? What they do, what products they have, but what do you learn more importantly? Who they are. And isn't that the key thing that we're really interested in? Now think about marketing, and I'll go back to the 50s. Everything was on a handshake, everything was relationship, and everything was like, oh, I know Jim, I'm going to do business with him, I know who he is. Does it matter what the product was? He could be selling insurance, there could be 100 different insurance agents, but you knew what Jim was, and you knew who he was. And you built this one-to-one relationship. Now, this one-to-one relationship takes time, doesn't it? So, and then business in the earlier times went slower. People had to be at their desk and get the phone call, so things went a little bit slower. Well, as we moved along, we start going into the internet. Things start picking up pretty quick. And when the internet first came out, we're like, oh, if I send out 10,000 emails, I'm going to get 10 people to call me back. And it worked. It actually worked because that was just a new form of it. And we got into the idea. Now, I do have a master's in statistics. So when I was doing numbers basis, it's all about numbers. Like, oh, let's just throw as much as we can, get this back, have this percentages. And I got to tell you, sometimes the worst thing you can do to a marketing plan or a relationship building is start doing Excel sheets. I tell people stay away from Excel sheets. But it was a great idea. So you have the internet, you have the email marketing, and everything blissed. I mean, do you remember when they'd have those little pop-up things? Oh, you're a winner. And they worked. And what happens is everybody became numb to it all. The fact of it is, the true way to actually market is still one-to-one. So here we are in this technology era, and how we are getting business right now in this room as we're sitting here talking to each other is a one-to-one relationship. So this is my challenge to you, and this is a challenge I presented myself. We need to take the relationship marketing from the 50s, that one-on-one, that relationship that we're seeing with each other one-on-one. Take that feeling, take that information, and compile it in a way that we can then disseminate that and show that in a mass transit through the internet, through email, through video. Because what will happen is it doesn't matter the product. It really doesn't. What matters is somebody's wanting to work with you. And I think sometimes we all know we're supposed to talk about the benefits of the product, not the features. You know, you're supposed to say this is not a 12 megahertz computer. It's going to make it faster for you. You're supposed to talk about the benefits. But what we often forget to do is talk about the benefits of us, because we are the ones doing their business with. So think about this when you have your one-on-ones with each other, or a meeting that you've had with a client that was just a really good meeting, and you're like, oh, this person, I got to know this person, he got to know me, and at the end of it, the person says, you know what? I love what you're saying. I'm comfortable with you. Who's had that? Who's had that? This is what I need. At that point, does the product or price matter? It really doesn't. Now, understand I firmly believe you have to have a good product and you have to have a good price these are all basic assumptions. But you have to have that comfortableness at the end. So, how do we take this one-on-one relationship and use the power of the internet, use the power of mass emails, not even emails, but the web and video. How can we take that energy, instead of having a one-on-one with Brian, I want to have a one-on-one with the world. So the challenge is making those kinds of videos, those kind of webinars, that kind of information to a point where, one, they've got to get to it. That's a tough thing to do. I mean, marketing is, the biggest definition of marketing is put me in front of it. That's it. Get this product in front of that person. That's it. That's marketing. That's the sum of marketing. So webinars is a fantastic way of doing it. Now, the cool thing about technology today is we can make webinars look like we're on the other side doing a live class and we're home asleep. You can. And you can have, I mean, have you ever seen those? Have you done the webinars like, oh, we got a question from Seattle, and it's all recorded. But you feel like you're interacting. Yeah, it does burst your, sorry. You didn't hear that. The magic seminar fairies are still there. But that's the fun part. We have the technology to do these kinds of things. And so we have to take the opportunity to do it. Now, just putting a video on the web doesn't work. Just sending out emails doesn't work. You have to go back to your core. So this is where the philosophy and the challenge changes. You have to go back to the one-on-one that you had with that best one-on-one you ever had. And you probably took 2 hours to do it. And if you did 2 hours, for 100 people, that'd be a really crazy couple months. But take the best you had out of that and say, why did that person feel so comfortable with me? What was it that I said or portrayed that made them say, you're the guy? And we have to capture that. And even if you have, this might be just a crazy idea, but ask if it's okay. Record your one-on-ones just to see, maybe get some information, maybe do a little video, maybe get some test information just to say, what is it I'm saying? Because sometimes, even when I'm talking to clients, they're like, yeah, that totally makes sense. I'm like, oh crap, what did I say? And I have to, I was just going through it. I'm like, oh, but you're right. And so there's little key things, and the most important thing that we can do with this mass transit of marketing is starting with the one-on-one in great detail. We have to get back to that handshake, to the 50s, to the sit down, the cup of coffee, and say, what is it I'm talking about to you? Because all too often, when we talk about the web or webinars or commercials, we start thinking all these big ideas and we can do this and a big show. And the fact is, it's not really what people are looking for. This is where you have to really analyze that one-on-one. What is it that, first of all, we're all product-based as well. So what products and services and benefits am I delivering? How am I conveying those? So the most important thing that we can ever learn in marketing is listening. If we can listen to the other person, what they're saying and what they need, their story is not uncommon than everyone else's. And there is going to be a common storyline among all of your clients. There will be that one thread. And that is the thread that you build your mass marketing on. So that one thread of saying, okay, this is what all of them are looking for, this is what we're hoping to achieve, and you get that from the one-on-one sit-downs. But it takes research and it takes time. And even when, I do actually believe in having some forms of scripts in your mind, where if someone says, well, this is the problem I'm having, well, you need to talk about these 3 different things, because you've talked to 10 other people that have had that same problem, and these 3 different things can help them. And so it's that relationship. Now, when you have those things immediately available to you, you are now demonstrating competency, and you know what you're talking about, and boy, that really makes them feel comfortable. Now, with the web, it's a little different. We have to do this in a way where there's just a glob of information on the web now, and we have to kind of present it in a way where it's, hey, thanks for the information, see you later. So there's a couple things what we have to do. We have to get the hook. How do we get them there? How do we get them to keep coming back or wanting to see this webinar or seminar or video or whatever it is? And then in the video or seminar or webinar, how is it you give them just enough where they need more? And so I really do believe in classes. I really like teaching classes. And the biggest reason is I have a one-on-one with 40 people. But imagine taking this one-on-one we're having now, taking this and expanding it out to everybody you know. Take 10 people each. So if I can convey a message to you now in this one little room, You take that message and convey it to 10 different people. I have just reached 400 people. And even if those 10 people only reached it out to 2 other people, because it will dwindle if it's not viral enough, and there's a whole other topic. But still, it is possible to have this one class and still be able to reach 500-600 people on a very intimate level. Because remember, this is coming by relationships. We have this class here. It was passed on by somebody who was at the class. That class showed it to somebody, so there's a relationship there. So now you're getting more reputability through that line. Now, the further you go down, the less reputability you have, and the more the class has to hang on to them. The information has to hang on to them. So there's a lot of technicality that we really got to make sure that we're doing this properly. Now, why am I even bringing all this up is because we need to use the tools we have. We have great tools. Who is one of the best? Who is the best? Give me a name brand. Give me just a name brand in the world. One of the best name brands is Coke. It's always Coke. Coke. And the reason why is it the product? Do they tell you the sugar content? No. You have a relationship with Coke. You have that little Christmas polar bear. You have, the Santa. I mean, we have these. We have this relationship with Coke because they have spent billions of dollars doing a one-on-one with us in front of a TV. And we could do that too if we had the money, but we never had the money. But now we have the resources. Imagine doing what Coke's doing, except more affordable, through the web, through video, through seminars, and projecting it out that way. Think about it. Coke, you really do have a one-on-one relationship with Coke, whether or not you drink it. You may still say, oh, I really like that Santa Claus. That's a cool Santa Claus on that Coke vehicle. You have a relationship there. And it has nothing to do with the product. It has absolutely nothing to do with the product. So that's my challenge I'm offering and asking people, because we have a lot of availability to us. And this can go for any industry. It doesn't matter if it's insurance, doesn't matter if it's computers, doesn't matter if it's real estate. We can actually show the information in a good way and have them keep coming back. So when I reach out and talk to people, you have to go back to that one client that was just really, you're saying all the right things. Start writing it down. What is it that's making sense to them? And the biggest problem sometimes we can have as professionals, well, we know what the answers are. Well, sure we do. And we assume everybody else does. We're sitting here talking to them. We're like, well, yeah, of course this is the right answer. And I'm like, wow, really? I had no idea you could even do that. And I'm in awe. And the person talking to me is like, well, yeah, we've been doing this the last 5 years. And so, we can't. People really don't want information; they want answers. And there's two totally different things. And if we can portray the answers, that's what we need to do. But you have to go back to what is it you're saying. And so this is research time, is what it is. When it comes down to marketing, if we can find the key terms that we're saying to people that make sense to them, and how do we know it makes sense to them? Watch them. Say it. Watch them, see what they do. Because all too often we'll get into our little world like, hey, I got a really great product, and before we know it, we're just talking and we're not even looking at the person anymore. We're just talking about the product because the commercial's going in our head. Yeah. We don't need to know more about the product. We're the ones giving it. They need to know more about the product. And if we can do that, because there's so many different things that all of us here in professionals do, I still have no idea about. I have glimpses of things, I'm learning, but it takes a while to figure out what everybody does. And in your own unique way. And just to say someone does insurance, let's say, that's great, but how is it that you do it? Is there a niche? How do you help? And make it tailored for them. And you go back, and I keep saying this over and over and over again because I'm in statistics, go back to the ones that worked and say, why did it work? What did I say? What did they need? Then, once you can figure out what they need, you can find that demographic of people. So if I'm personally looking for first-time home buyers, this is just an example. Well, they may be renters. Okay, where do renters live? Apartments. Okay, so you start narrowing down what your population is. There's no sense portraying a message to somebody that they're just not ready for that product. There's no sense doing that. So if we're going to do this effectively, and cost effectively, most importantly. And believe me, I've had lots of lessons in cost effective marketing. I think we all have. Have you ever done that? Like, hey, let's see if this works. Nope. Well, there went $5,000. It doesn't take much to video. It doesn't have to be a good video. It just has to be information. Have you ever watched really, poorly shot films but had a really good story? What do you watch, the story or the editing? My niece watches this thing. It's popular on the YouTube, and they're like little dog toys that they actually have a high school soap opera. It's crazy. But people follow it. And what's funny is there's absolutely no point to it, but we're watching it. It's TV. It's TV that we can afford. Who would love to be on TV and get their message out? We all would, but we can do it. So like Carlos was talking about, we just need to get the camera and just at least get information. Don't be afraid to get out there, because you have to be the authority in what you do. If you're not the authority to the person you're presenting it to, how can you present that to that person that you are the authority? We just got to get it out. So this is my challenge. I'm going to wrap it up here, because it is a challenge that we all have to do, and I'm working on mine. I mean, that silly, who watched that silly Godfather video?
Yeah, that was awesome.
I love doing silly things, because that's part of who I am. And I had people afterwards say, I'm still watching that video. And I'm like, oh. It's just for fun, but you have to, everything you do for fun, everything that you do is part of you, do it, but then do it with the business purpose of how to get it out. But make sure you do your research. Make sure you pull all the information of what you need from that customer, what words are working, what phrases are working, and then get the demographics right. Who am I presenting this to? And that's the challenge. That's doing a one-on-one with the world. And if we can do that in a very good, effective way, imagine how many more prospects you will have. Because, harshly say, it is a numbers game. You have to have, 5 one-on-ones to get that one that works. And that's kind of how some things work. It's just how numbers go. So if you can do a one-on-one with the world, how much better would that help your business? Is that pretty cool? Is that helpful?
Yes.
All right, thank you so much.
This program presented by The Art of Business Squared. Post-production editing performed by Lookport, lookport.com.